Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to continue to have a look at the risk of some significant snow in places over the next few days. Especially on Thursday and Friday we could be seeing some really quite heavy snow in many parts of northern England and southern Scotland, perhaps even into parts of North Wales, the Midlands and East Anglia. Now today we have seen a pretty widespread yellow snow warning issued. Not all areas in that warning zone will see heavy snow, but there is quite a high chance that somewhere in there we could see totals up to 20 centimetres or so, especially favoured over the higher ground. We are seeing a lot of discrepancies between the models on the positioning and precipitation typing of this weather front. Which means some runs are showing, 10-20 centimetres, some only showing snow over hills, others showing very little snow at all, bringing milder air in very quickly. So we'll have a look at the latest on all of those shorter range runs. However, as we get into the longer range, even though we are going to see some cold and snowy weather in the next few days, sort of the main event for any properly cold weather is likely to be towards the middle to second half of the month. What we're seeing this week is more of a colder incursion, where we are seeing some snow with it. These sort of properly blocked pattern, potentially proper widespread cold, as I said, arriving maybe around the middle to second half of the month. We're still seeing pretty strong support from a lot of the runs, but because it is still sort of 7 to 14 days away from that period arriving, again we are seeing still quite a bit of uncertainty, so we'll continue to explore that in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, we've actually got a lot of mild air in at the moment, and you can see that because a lot of this precipitation across Scotland is falling as rain. Very little snow mixed in with this, which is pretty unusual for midwinter. And all areas are generally around the 10 to 12 degree mark. We are seeing heavy rain continue to pile in from western Scotland at the moment. Again, it is a weather front that's sort of wavy and sort of pretty stationary, that's stalled across parts of western Scotland here, spreading eastwards as well, and it will slowly drift to the south over the coming days, beginning to unlock the colder air which will drift in over the next sort of 48 hours or so, before milder air is going to try and push it away again through Thursday, of course, bringing the risk of that snow. Now, if you look at the temperatures set this evening, it's very mild. Look at that, yellows across much of the British Isles. Again, showing you it is really mild for the time of year. Again, if we saw these temperatures in the daytime around sort of 2 p.m, we'd be seeing still pretty mild. But considering it's 8 p.m. now, as I'm recording this, pretty ridiculous indeed. You can see, though, across northern Scotland, it is quite a lot colder. Temperatures here dropping towards the low to single figures, if not down towards freezing. We're not saying anything too wintry here, of course, but it just shows you that cold air is not too far away. There's an exceptionally strong temperature gradient across much of northern and western Europe. You can see it even stronger across parts of Denmark through eastern Europe, where it's bitterly cold in places, and 100 miles away, it is 20 degrees warmer. Now, if you do have a look at the latest weather warnings, we do have a rain warning issued for western parts of Scotland that does continue until 9 p.m. this evening, so expiring pretty imminently. But we are going to continue to see heavy rain around, and as we head into Tuesday, we do see an ice warning that comes into force for the morning. As of course we saw, there was cold air across northern Scotland, and there's the risk of a few showers and some ice forming, but really I wouldn't think anything too substantial with this. Again, really not even getting any totals and any showers, just saying there is a risk of ice with wintry showers. But the main event for disruption this week is likely to be the risk of heavy snow through Thursday and Friday. You see, we've got this quite large blanket snow warning issued for much of the Midlands, northern Wales and northern England, and it's from 3 a.m. on Thursday until 3 a.m. on Friday. A period of snowfall could bring some disruption on Thursday and the Thursday night. It is going to be very much dependent on higher ground, and it is going to be very much dependent on the air masses as well, where we're going to see heavy snow. The Met Office is sure there's going to be, pretty sure there's going to be some disruption, but can't pinpoint exactly where. And you can see, we see this area of rain, sleet, and increasingly snow will push north on Thursday, bringing up to 2 centimetres at low levels, 2 to 5 centimetres above 200 metres, and perhaps 10 to 20 centimetres above 400 metres. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to snow heavier above 400 metres. It simply means that the surface temperatures are going to be slightly colder, and it does mean that we cannot see any mixing. So very easily, if the air mass is a degree or two colder, that area of 10 to 20 centimetres could drop to 100, 200 metres, or a small chance that even drops to sea level. So even though here at this stage we're not expecting anything major at low-lying areas, slight alterations will turn more of that sleet, snow, or sleet, wet snow and rain to proper thick snow that would settle. So we will just have to see exactly how this does develop. And of course, it all depends on the development of the low in the subsequent days, because where that low goes after that will decide whether we continue to see snow or whether it does turn back to rain. You can see the Met Office stating this here. The snow will ease later in the day and turn back to rain or drizzle in places, especially in the south and the east of the area. There's some uncertainty with respect to the rain and snow boundary and the northern limits of the snow, so details may change in the coming days as confidence increases in these aspects. I would like to change that, just say the details will change. This is definitely going to be altered, as it's not going to play out exactly like this. There's going to be a lot of subtle changes in the next couple of days between the positioning of the precipitation and, of course, with the precipitation typing. Now you can see the impacts are medium impact and low likelihood. So if the likelihood increases, if we do see more of the models showing widespread snow, then there's a real possibility we could see an amber warning issued somewhere here. I would probably say most likely area is across parts of Yorkshire, northwest England, especially over the higher ground, so the Peak District area. That's where I'd say the most significant risk is at this stage, in North Wales as well with that. But elsewhere could see significant risks as well. And that warning, as I said, continues into Friday. So we do now have a look at some of these shorter range models. We'll start on the UKV, then have a look at the Icon and the Arpegge. All three are showing snow on Thursday and Friday, just slightly different in the typing, on sort of the elevation, and on the positioning of the precipitation band. Now, if you run over the next few days, you can see that rain slowly sips southwards and actually gives quite a wet and horrible day for many through tomorrow afternoon, as that rain eventually clears across into the near continent through the latter part of the evening. A bit of a squall feature potentially developing there, so it could be really quite lively around that 8-9 p.m. point in around London. So yeah, it could be really quite horrible there, but again, that all depends on the timing as that moves through. Further northward, snow showers starting to move in. You can see perhaps even some persistent snow across northern and western Scotland there through Wednesday morning. So could even see a snow warning issued for that. That does look like a decent clustering of snow that, as I said, could be disruptive. But I said the main event is into Thursday. Now, through the rest of Wednesday, we eventually start to see precipitation nudge up from the southwest. Areas further northwards turning a lot colder as that cold air gets embedded in. And then we see the precipitation band bump into that cold air. Look at that, rapidly turning to snow over much of the Republic of Ireland, North Wales, the Midlands and Northern England. You can see, though, the fragmented nature of the snow, rain mixing in with it as well. It's not a big wall of snow, and that is because some of it will be falling as rain, dependent on elevation from this latest UKV. Through the evening, perhaps seeing more snow continuing as this next band pushes northwards. Again, really highlighting the hills here across Northern England and North Wales, as we do see milder air mixing in. If we look at the upper air temperatures, you can see it is such a strong temperature contrast that if this cold air is 50 miles further southwards, then widespread snow could be across the Midlands, but 50 miles northwards, then see very little snow at all. Now, in the hours following that, that snow continues to track northwards, and we could see some more major snow into Scotland, where cold air is even more embedded, and eventually it does dissipate away into Saturday. But it's all dependent on the positioning of that low, because by Saturday we have the low clearing out into the North Sea, and that starts pulling cold air for all. But other runs have the low sitting over the top of us and just sort of mixing mild air around, which would instead probably keep many areas a little bit milder and limit the risk of any significant snow. If you look at the snow depths, you can see as we head through Thursday, or initially on Wednesday, snow across much of northern and western Scotland here from those showers. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a warning issued for that. But as we get into Thursday, heavy snow on the leading edge, again looking at 5 to 10 centimetres perhaps, quite widely there in parts of the Republic of Ireland, Wales, the West Midlands into northwest England. But you can see after a while it does become mainly confined to the hills before eventually clearing northwards, giving lots of heavy snow across northern hills and most of Scotland there. But the risk is still there for substantial, widespread snow. It all depends on the exact positioning of that weather front and how much cold air does undercut the weather front. Now, if you do have a look at the max temperatures, you can see as we head into tomorrow, temperatures are going to be around the 10 to 12 degrees in the south, much colder in the north as that colder area is moving in. As we head into Wednesday, widespread frost further northwards, and for many areas by Wednesday afternoon, it's back down towards average or slightly below average, especially further northwards, where it's more towards freezing. Now, overnight Wednesday into Thursday, temperatures will drop away quite rapidly for many areas in that cold air, down towards freezing or below freezing, and then we see that weather front bump into that cold air, snow initially across much of the afternoon under that weather front. But you can see as we head into the evening, temperatures starting to nudge maybe 2 or 3 degrees, and that's when it would start to turn to rain. You can see the huge temperature contrast. Parts of northwest England, 0 degrees. London, 10 degrees. Again, that doesn't sound huge, but in reality, 10 degrees can feel pretty mild this time of year. Freezing, we're seeing widespread snow. So, massive temperature contrast, massive precipitation contrast there. And as I said, 50, 100 miles differences in the positioning of this low will change all of this and bring snow further southwards or push the snow further northwards. And then finally into Friday afternoon, further northwards, widely around freezing or below freezing, further southwards and eastwards, 7 to 11 degrees. And then eventually to the weekend, all areas start to get a little bit chilly as that cold air wraps in. Again, I wouldn't take any of this too literally, especially that sort of Thursday, Friday, Saturday time, because it is subject to big changes depending on the position of that weather front. But at the moment, this is what the UKV is showing, and the UKV is one of the most highly regarded models. Now, if you look at the DWD icon, as we head into the latter part of the week, you can see that snow arriving through Thursday morning, and again, largely across Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, North Wales, and Northern England, less so for the Midlands here, with that precipitation band slightly further northwards. Eventually, it does pull away. We continue to see snow, but the snow is mainly confined over higher ground towards Northern England and Scotland. As you can see, the low, with its milder air, is pushed much further northwards. Look at that, 7 or 8 degrees into areas that were showing freezing on the UKV for this time frame. So it just shows you, even within the short range, high resolution models, there is still lots of discrepancies. You can see again, lots of heavy snow across northern England, but mainly across the hills here from the icon, so nowhere near as widespread as the UKV made out to be. Now, if you look at the arpège to see what that is showing over the next few days, again, we see that snow starting to arrive from the southwest and giving quite a widespread snow event there, again, for mainly inland over higher ground, for northern England, Northern Ireland, and potentially the Republic of Ireland. Again, that weather front does clear northwards, bringing milder air in on behind it, and then eventually most areas actually turning to rain. If you put on those 2 meter temperatures, you can see temperatures getting up towards the mid to high single digits by Friday afternoon, so very quickly turning milder again. So definitely the coldest one is the UKV. Icon probably next in the arpège does show heavy snow, but it does turn it quickly to rain for all, as that milder edge is that much stronger and that much bigger. But there will continue to be a lot of scrutiny, a lot of uncertainty with this over the next 24 hours. I'll keep you updated, and hopefully by tomorrow evening, or at least at the latest Wednesday evening, we'll have a much better idea on where we are going to see that heaviest snow, depending on the exact track of this low. Now, if you do have a look at some of the longer range charts, we'll first have a look at the latest GFS, which has discrepancies in the next few days as well. But of course, we are looking mainly at the longer range. You can see westerly winds continue over the next 24 hours, but eventually northerly winds will replace it, and you can see that low bump against that cold air. The GFS has the low much further northwards, and brings rain for most, if I'm being completely honest. And eventually, it kind of goes westerly again, and it's actually quite mild. However, right in the extended range, around the day 10, it gets its blocking back, and we go back into a sort of easterly flow there. Again, nothing too crazy, but definitely a little bit weird through the first 7, 8, 9 days here, where it completely disregards the blocking and goes westerly again, and kind of in between, not showing anything cold, but not showing anything particularly mild. However, the longer range does bring the blocking back. So again, GFS just being a little bit weird, again being a bit of an outlier, especially as we'll see in the ensembles. That is going to be just one to watch. The short range is very uncertain, and the longer range is even more uncertain than that. If you do look at the latest GM, on the other hand, again, you can see low pressure moving in at the moment. Again, that low pressure pushes into that cold air. It does push eastwards, and then we see easterly or northerly winds. And actually, we do see the pressure rise towards day 10, and we sort of see this big mishmash of high pressure blocking. There's a bit of cold air trapped underneath it, trying to push in from the east, but really this is all over the place. You can see that from the temperature deviation. All these blobs of 15 degrees below average and 15 degrees above average, only a few hundred miles away from each other, just showing you that it is the sort of North Atlantic, Northwest Europe is all over the place for the upper air temperatures. Small subtle changes will bring us very cold or bring us very mild. So yeah, longer range. Yeah, not got much hope of saying exactly what's going to happen here either. Now the ECMWF is pretty similar where it is all over the place again. That low pressure bumps into the cold air. It does move northwards, similar to the GFS, so actually not bringing a lot of snow at all really with that. And then a high pressure builds in and turns into another big area of blocking. Initially pretty mild or very mild, but cold air likely to move in. As you can see, it is migrating up towards Greenland there. So all three runs around the day 7 to day 10 point have no agreement at all. They are all against each other. Again, just showing you that, yes, the next few days are highly uncertain, but beyond that, we've got no clue, for being completely honest. All we know is that blocking is going to be trying to make a return. But you see the three models handle it all different ways, meaning we cannot say for certain, or cannot say with any deal of certainty what the outcome will be, other than we will be seeing some blocking around, and colder than average weather is more likely, but not guaranteed. Now, we can see that from the ensembles. For London, you can see it's pretty mild over the next 5-6 days. Not expecting any snow at this stage. There are some anomalous runs that do bring colder air in and could give a period of snow for a time, but the majority comes relatively mild. It's around a week's time, as said at the start of the video, is that longer range towards the middle to end of February, where cold weather is looking more likely. You can already see it is turning cooler or colder during the middle of the month, and there are some very cold runs beyond that. But again, the ensemble spread is all over the place. As I said, look at the GFS operational run, all over the place. Majority of runs take us colder. Operational run goes very mild. So again, a little bit weird with that run there. If you compare to the ECMWF, have a look at the midnight run. Again, very similar. Again, turning colder towards the middle of the month, before slowly rising, but still being relatively chilly beyond that. So it's that period around the 10th of February onwards where we're looking at the real interest for snow and for more widespread winteriness, widespread cold than what we're seeing this week, which is very much regional and very marginal indeed. Now, if we do look at Glasgow, for example, their upper air temperatures are freezing cold in the next 24 hours and staying very cold for the foreseeable future. Again, indicating that cold air is coming locked in place further northwards, but further southwards, not so much. If we actually compare to the GFS, you can see GFS brings milder air in around 3 or 4 days' time. So disagreement between the GFS and the ECNWF ensembles, giving us a good indication. It's not just the operation runs that are got no idea. The ensembles don't either outside of the next sort of 2 or 3 days. We've got a massive amount of uncertainty, and the issue is the uncertainty could be the difference between a bit of rain and potentially disruptive snow. So it is not ideal. Hopefully the models do start to agree and start to resolve themselves properly in the next day or two. We thought they were over the weekend, bringing snow widely in the north. Now they're wobbling it again, and they're wobbling further for the longer range. So it is going to be one to watch. Birmingham is even worse with the up and downs. You can see all over the place, and you can see some runs showing heavy snow, others, if you look at the temperatures, showing temperatures well above freezing. So we can't say for certain exactly what is going to happen. A very, very complicated pattern over the next few days leads to massive uncertainty in the short range, which inevitably leads to massive uncertainty in the longer range. As I said, I'll keep a very close eye on this for you over the next few days. Again, we'll have another video out tomorrow evening looking at this again in more detail. Hopefully, I said, fingers crossed the models agree a little bit more, and I'll be able to have a little bit more of a concrete consensus on what is going to be happening. Because I feel like in this video so far, we've just kind of summarised the models, but we've not really given any definitive answers, because we can't really, because they're not in agreement at all, really. So we'll just have to see, and of course I'll keep you updated tomorrow. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.